I seriously don't know why I'm doing this, but I'm going down the rabbit hole. Kyle Kulinski and Mehdi Hasan got into a very heated back and forth, a really lengthy back and forth on Twitter, and I'm going to cover it all for you guys. I know this is insane, but let's just go ahead and jump into it. You guys all know what it is. Mehdi Hasan is basically, he spent his whole time on Twitter for the past like 7 to 14 days, basically shaming people who are saying they're not going to vote for Biden or Trump. It's definitely not a working strategy. I don't know when they're going to realize that. I actually had to block Mehdi Hasan because I'm pretty tired of his garbage. Now, Kyle Kulinski says, as a left winger who will not vote for Biden, I want you to know I'm 100% okay with you blaming me if Trump wins a second term. I mean it. Blame me. Then get to thinking real hard how you're going to get me to support your candidate the next time. Maybe even ask me. I'll tell you. It's a very good tweet. I totally agree with this tweet. Totally 100% with this tweet, because basically my thing is like this. They're pretending like you don't exist. They're pretending like your voting block doesn't exist, and they're not listening to anything you say. And so the way to show them that you exist and how much power you have, watch that Lawrence O'Donnell clip. He explains it very eloquently. He worked in the Democratic Party. He said, hey, I didn't even have to cater to progressives even once because they had nowhere to go. They expect you to just, stand in line to vote for them. You say, no, I'm not going to do that, bitch. And then you say, what the fuck are you going to do for me? What are you going to do for me? That's what you do. You put your foot on their throats. And if you don't do that, they're going to treat you like a bitch. It's funny. People who are voting for Joe Biden who are progressives, I mean, you're literally getting punched in the face nonstop, and they're telling you to vote for Biden, and then you're going to go vote for Biden. That's what you're doing. I mean, you have to be a pretty serious loser to vote for Joe Biden. Mehdi says, if you're okay with the white nationalists winning a second term, I question your left-wing credentials. The obvious response to this is Joe Biden is just as much of a white nationalist, if not even more, than Donald Trump is a white nationalist. Joe Biden has done so much. By the way, he literally backed a fascist, neo-Nazi Ukrainian government. All right, so that's literally the guy you're talking about. But you're talking about the guy who passed the '94 crime bill. He literally just had a quote. You guys remember this quote, right? Where he said, poor kids are just as smart as white kids. If I gave you that quote, let's say you didn't know the quote already, and I asked you, yo, who said this? Who are you going to say? Are you going to say Biden or Trump? I know who you're going to say. You're going to say Trump. That's what you'd say if you didn't know who said the quote. All right? He literally made that comment. He loved working with segregationists. He wrote about them so well. I think he gave like Strom Thurmond's obituary. Strom Thurmond was the guy who was like, that was the first Southern strategy guy, the guy to flip, from Democrat to Republican. He was a Dixiecrat. He loved that. Literally in every way, shape, and form. You could actually make an argument that Biden has a worse record in terms of that. And that's the thing. You could make that argument every step of the way. Literally everywhere with Joe Biden, that he's worse than Donald Trump. So I actually think Joe Biden has bigger credentials as a white nationalist than Donald Trump does. So I find that to be embarrassing. This is so flippant, and you're 1,000 times smarter than this. Comment, if you support a corrupt war criminal rapist for President Biden, then I question your left-wing credentials as well. See? We can all be insufferably smug. That's a good point. I don't support him. Yeah, you do. You're voting for him. I oppose Trump, who's worse. You're also smarter than this. This isn't a beauty contest, and no one is judging Biden in a vacuum. There's a reason even Chomsky backed the idea of lesser of two evils. He's doing a lot of this, appeal to authority. I don't know if that applies here, but he keeps naming like different authority figures in the left as if that's going to help his argument. I don't know why. And Kyle says, I oppose Trump as well, hence not voting for him either. Sort of have a principled stance against corruption, war criminal rapists, and both Trump and Biden happen to fit those descriptions. Good point. It doesn't work like that. Yes, it does. You can oppose both. I do. No, you don't. You're voting for him. But one of them will end up president. Who would you prefer that to be? Simple question. Biden or Trump? Me, again, here it is. Me, AOC, Bernie, Chomsky, Cornel West all say Biden. By the way, I have not seen Cornel West say this. This has definitely probably fake news. What say you, Biden or Trump? There's no option C, sadly. So again, a lot of bringing in these popular figures amongst the left. But I actually think a Trump presidency is better for the progressive movement than Biden presidency is, because think about it, if Biden wins, that kind of hurts the lefty argument, and you can't really do much when there's a Democratic incumbent. The reason for Justice Democrats and all these different groups and the energy behind it is because Trump had won, and so there was a real opposition to be had. If Biden wins, it kind of ruins everything. And then if he handpicks a successor, because as you guys are aware, Joe Biden is a one-term president, but typically if you're an incumbent, it's extremely taboo. It's virtually impossible for any serious candidate to mount an opposition to said candidate. So like Obama in 2012 ran unopposed, right? So it's pretty taboo to do that. You guys saw no serious contender came up against Donald Trump. You know, the jokes came after him, but that was a joke. They failed epically. So if he handpicks a successor, the fear then is, oh, there's another 4 years of that. But then the also problem with that is, right, if you get Biden for 4 years, think about it this way. What we got Trump as a result of 8 years of Obama and a candidacy of Hillary. What would 4 to 8 years of Biden / whoever his goon is in office give you? If we got Trump from that, what are we going to get from that? Think about that. Think about that. All right? I want you to think about that. And so if you get Trump for 4 more years, you know the Republic is not going to fall because Trump is in office for 4 more years. Trump is not Hitler. He's not Stalin. All right? Don't be melodramatic like that. And Biden is basically the same as Donald Trump. In fact, his record is probably worse. You tell me something even close to Trump that's even close to Biden voting for the Iraq War and supporting it. Minimum 200,000 civilians dead. You basically killed off like an insane amount of people in Iraq, made it entirely unstable. You tell me what Donald Trump has done in his presidency is even close to that. You try. Go ahead. I want to hear it. And he's the one who wants to maintain a healthcare system where 40+ people die without health insurance. All right? So I think a Trump presidency is literally better than a Biden's. That's what I think. So I would actually prefer a Trump over Biden, actually. Kyle says, I say I'm done. I'm out. Not playing the shitty game, and it turns out that's an option. It's called not voting. And if you spent 1/10 the energy browbeating Biden to take Bernie or Nina for VP instead of badgering fed-up lefties, you might actually get more votes from him. That's a good point. That's also a good point, actually, because the truth is, if you really wanted to win, all you had to do was pick Bernie Sanders as vice president. And Hillary could have done the same thing. They would have swept the nation very easily, because it would have been, for once, it would have been an actual like united party instead of a split party where you're also not getting independents or Republicans. And the same thing would have happened here. And I told you guys this. I told you if Biden picks Bernie as VP, I will vote for him. I'll be happy to vote for him. And the difference between them and why I thought it was definitely a possibility was simply that Bernie and Biden are actually buddies. Bernie and Hillary hated each other, but Bernie and Biden are actually buddies, but it doesn't look like it panned out. So we need to flip the question on them. We need to say, okay, well, what are you doing to defeat Donald Trump? What are you doing to defeat Donald Trump? Especially because all these losers, they didn't do anything for Biden to win. They just logged on Twitter and jerked off all day. That's all they did, literally. Nobody phone banked for him. No one campaigned for the guy. Every other campaign was doing that. They were the ones doing it. Every other campaign had to do that because all he did was what? Default support. That's it. Biden didn't campaign. He hid from the press. He hid from the public. He didn't do shit. Super Tuesday didn't have anything. He had barely had any campaign offices, if any. Barely did any campaigning whatsoever, and he still won. That's because he benefited from default support. He and his supporters didn't do shit. So now it's your time to pull up on phone banking. Now it's your time to go to rallies and donate. That's what you got to do. If Joe Biden's even confident enough to have rallies, that is. So, definitely something you want to do. Nope, you don't get to be out. That's the point. You'll still be living in America in January 2021. Who do you less want to be president than, Trump or Biden? It's a simple question. I'll wait here for the answer. The answer is Trump, obviously. Or Biden, actually. Your answer is, I don't want either one to be president. I don't want either one to be president so bad that I find the idea of voting for either one morally repellent. That's certainly an answer. It's just not one that fits into your neat little partisan boxes. It's not a partisan box. It's an empirical box. One of them will be president, whether you or I like it or not. So I ask again, I'll keep asking, who would you less prefer to be president come 2021? It's a simple question. You're not a politician. Why not answer it? I think Trump is better, honestly. He says, I did answer it, and you don't like the answer. I find your inability to accept my answer amusing. It's an empirical fact. One of them will be president. It's not one that I must pick. It's called not voting. Biden v. Trump is Richard Spencer versus David Duke. I'm not playing. I didn't say anything about voting. And no, nice try, but you didn't answer my question. It's very simple. Let me repeat it for the 4th or 5th time. In January 2021, the president will either be either Trump or Biden. Which of these two men would you less like to see in the White House? I would say Biden because, again, I feel like a Trump win is really the only chance for a progressive movement or any serious change. I think if Biden loses after Hillary loses and Obama has boosted them twice, I think there's two things the Democratic Party could do. The Democratic Party could either stick to their guns and be out of their minds and lose again, which in that case, the Democratic Party is a total lost cause. And it's time to either go third party or just leave the country. Or, you've got basically an actual progressive move. At that point, you'd have lost twice 8 years for 2 elections. So at that point, you've either got to change or you just stick to your guns and be idiots. So I'm hoping that they change their strategies, what I would hope. Neither one, hence why I'm not voting. Richard Spencer versus David Duke, neither one. Cancer versus stroke, neither one. Break your right arm or left arm, neither one. You're simply failing to grasp how beyond the pale Biden is, but you get it with Trump. Mehdi Hasan says, I've written extensively about Biden's sins and shortcomings, his awfulness and lies, Iraq, etc., but unlike you, I didn't come to the facile and irresponsible conclusion he's the same as the insane. Child stealing, again, that happened under the Obama administration. Muslim banning, doesn't mean shit. White nationalist, he's challenging. Joe Biden is a white nationalist much more than Donald Trump is, and also a Muslim ban. Dude, you're talking about a guy killed 2 million innocent brown people in Iraq. Vast majority of them being Muslim. Alright? Vast majority of them being Muslim. Alright? Who's done more to hurt Muslim people? Joe Biden or Donald Trump? You answer that question. Tell me. And he's just going to represent the same shit where it's just bombing people, dude. Obama used Predator drones. Predator drones are drones you can't even see. He used them to such an extent that literally people, and I recommend you go check out John Oliver's piece on drones. Go YouTube it right now. It's a very good piece. Literally to the point where they're scared to look in the sky. They're scared of the sky because you can't see Predator drones. You can't see where they are. And he was just droning the fuck out of people in Pakistan and Afghanistan and Yemen and all this shit. The Yemen stuff started happening under Obama. Like, what the fuck are you talking about, Mehdi? I understand. And also, by the way, they just removed this guy who's like a Modi guy in their campaign. Like a big guy in their campaign was a big Modi supporter. So it's like, damn, bro, that's your pro-Muslim guy? That's your less anti-Muslim guy than Trump? Jesus Christ, what a fucking moron. And that looks to be, I guess, pretty much the end. He also got into some beef with David Pockman, who's saying the same stuff, although him I'm not surprised about. But that is the entire exchange between Mehdi Hasan and Kyle Kulinski. So let me know your thoughts on this down below.